from the Naylor House Studios in the heart of the 254. It's time for Connecting the Dots. Here's your host, Jeff Sandford.
Welcome to Studio 254, the all-new Studio 254. Thanks to all of you. We've actually made a few adjustments into our studio production space, and thanks to Riley and Emily and the whole gang here at Naylor House Productions. We've made a few corrections and a few updates. You're going to see more in a reel coming up, so I hope you'll enjoy that. But it's another great day in Stephenville, Texas, and we have another great guest. If you picked up the recent issue of D Magazine, you have seen something there on the front, and I'm not just talking about the behind of the girl there, but I'm also talking about the Interstate Inn. And a great family that we've gotten to know very well has been a part of the development of the Interstate Inn and the Seeker restaurant here in Stephenville. But there is so much more to this story and so much more to the family that we're going to split those out into different interviews. And starting first of all, we have Miss Cathy Bonner coming to the program today. Let's welcome Miss Cathy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for coming in. Now, you were in New York just this morning? Or last night?
Yeah, I came in last night,
Yeah.
back to Austin, and then back to Stephenville this morning.
How about that? We appreciate you taking the effort to get here. It's been
Thank you.
That's quite the deal. And now I understand that you're kind of a worldly person anyway, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm very Texas. My feet are planted exactly in Texas.
Yeah. Well, born I guess in Dallas. Is that right?
Yeah.
You certainly
I
grew
was
up.
born in Dallas. Yes.
Born in Dallas. If I were to introduce you, if you're out there watching. And usually it's really easy, head coach of this or owner of that or whatever. Miss Bonner here, business entrepreneur, former CEO, former executive director of the Texas Department of Commerce, museum founder, cancer-fighting thought leader and fundraiser, founder of Leadership America, Leadership Texas, and other things. We've got so much to talk about today. If you have any desire to find out more about a true champion, and we are the City of Champions, then you're going to want to listen to this episode. Miss Cathy, tell us a lot about your early days in Dallas.
Well, I grew up in a middle-class family in the middle of the country, smack dab in the middle of the century. I was born in 1950.
Yeah.
And so I had a very traditional middle class growing up in Dallas, Texas. But I always wanted to go somewhere else for college.
Yeah.
So I wound up at the University of Texas in Austin, starting my education there.
Now, I understand they've closed the university since then. Is that correct?
They said, she's gone.
I can say that I'm an Aggie, so this is one of those things
That's
that I
right.
try to,
I forgot of that.
Yes.
No, I
but great school, great place. Austin kind of became home then for a while, didn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
I lived in Austin 50 years and built my career there. And 4 years ago, I actually moved back to Dallas, which is where all my family is, and thinking that I would probably retire there. I have failed at retirement 4 times, so I was hoping that this time would really work.
This would take, yeah. Well, I think the world would be in a much worse place if you retired, because you have been a part of so many great things, and we're going to cover as many as we can.
Okay.
I don't know how many we can, but we're going to try our best. I do want to talk a little bit about leadership, and particularly women's, not the women's movement, but the ability to empower women. This has been kind of a lifelong thing for you, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. You really have been involved with that. After college, you got involved with a lot of different things. Where did that come from? What do you think was the basis of that?
Well, I got involved in politics in college and in student government, and I was really interested in politics and have a degree in communications and political science. And I met in the very early days of the women's movement a person that ended up being my best friend in life, and she was from Stephenville, Texas. Yeah. So I know a lot from the early days of the 70s when we were both working in the women's movement about Stephenville. But I became of age during the women's movement and wanted to do whatever I could, either career-wise or just charity-wise, to help women improve their lives.
Yeah.
And that was really my passion. And all of the things that I ended up doing in the women's movement and in Leadership Texas and Leadership America and all of that was to really help women improve their lives.
learn, lead, and leave a lasting legacy. That's one of the things that I know they use in some of the areas.
Yes.
At 25, you're appointed to the former Texas Women's Caucus. I guess it became Women Power. Later, Texas Foundation for Women's Resources. Talk a little bit about that time period, because it was a different part of where we were as a country.
Yes, very much. It was the 70s, and the Texas Women's, the Foundation for Women's Resources was a group of Austin Friends primarily, and it included some known people like Ann Richards, who hadn't been in public office yet, but she was involved in politics in Austin, and all of us were involved in politics. And we had Sarah Weddington on our board and others like that. There were about 10 of us, and we decided that one of the things that was needed was a 501c3 organization, educational organization, to help women become educated about politics as well as education in all aspects of their life, to really rise out of poverty and to be independent in their thinking and in their life, so they could support themselves through education. So we formed this foundation, and it was a 501c3, and we didn't have any idea what you could do with a 501c3, but the men had a 501c3, so we decided we should have one too. Okay. But we started doing educational books, and we started training women how to think about running for public office and doing programs like that. And then it evolved into a program where we had a Texas State Women's History exhibit that toured the state for 2 years and told the stories of women's history in Texas history that really had been buried and never brought forth, and you certainly didn't learn it in school.
Right.
And that toured the state for 2 years and is now in permanent display in Texas Women's University in Denton. And from that program on, I had been in the very first class of Leadership Austin, which many Chamber of Commerce put on in their cities. Right. And I thought we ought to have something on a statewide level for women to get to know each other, and that was the main benefit of the program when we began. It was educational, but it also let these leaders in their communities that were doing all kinds of exciting things get to know each other. So we started Leadership Texas. And they have a class every year, and this year they're having their 44th class for Leadership Texas. Wow. And Leadership America came along about 10 years later, and we started that. And we also started a program called the Power Pipeline, which is for young women just beginning their careers, and a meeting once a year. Gotcha. Kind of thing. And so it was all built around education and improving women's lives and networking and learning from each other. And many of them spun out and became mayors of their cities and ran for the legislature and became CEOs, and it became an incredible network now, way over 1,000 women that are alumni of that association.
Well, and with the impact, I think even the website had said over 8,000 individuals and businesses or other organizations have been impacted by these programs. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's really done a great service for women in this state.
And I understand multiple states have tried to copy some of what we're doing here in Texas.
They have done.
That's pretty.
They had Leadership California, Leadership Missouri. We had a Leadership Louisiana. There were about 10 states that did similar programs.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fast forward just a little bit, 1991, first female governor since Ma Ferguson was elected in Ann Richards, and she tapped you to help out a little bit, huh?
Yeah. She did. She was a longtime personal friend. We'd been on this Foundation for Women's Resources board, together for about 10 years. And she decided to run for treasurer first. And so we all helped her become treasurer. And then she decided to run for governor. And we all became involved in the campaign to help her become governor. I was always in private business at the same time, so I could do these other things because I had businesses. I used the profit from my businesses to help me be able to do the nonprofit work.
Yes, well, that's typically how it goes, and that's a big part of it. In fact, our nonprofits are often powered by the profit side of the world, so I get that. And it's good, and you were profitable in a lot of different ways. We're going to cover some of those. I do want to talk about, though, in terms of the state, Texas Department of Commerce, and it's gone through changes over the years, but that is a huge piece of state government.
Yes, it was a big agency back then. I think it may have changed since then, but we had all of the economic development work, which was trying to get business to move to Texas and to help business that was already here sell their goods and services around the world. But it also had the state's workforce training program, which was about $2 billion a year that came into the state and got dispersed to communities for workforce training. And we had the $12 million a year tourism program. The Don't Mess with Texas program was part of that, but then the tourism, it's like a whole other country, started during that time. So she appointed me the executive director of the Department of Commerce, and I've always said it's the best job in state government because you get to put deals together.
Absolutely.
And you get to help companies, expand their businesses, and then workforce training is a huge piece of economic engine for companies, new startups, and for communities, that want to help companies come to their area.
Absolutely, and it's been a big part of even our organization as we've started Career Club and Career Academy here, which has put over 150 kids in the last 3 years into the workforce, trained and ready. So that's been.
I can tell you a story about Ann Richards.
Please do.
Ann was the second woman to ever be governor because the first woman was Ma Ferguson, who was married to Paul Ferguson, the governor. He got in some trouble for selling pardons, so he got impeached, and she became the governor in his stead. But Ma was a kind of a very interesting character herself, and one time the big debate was, should the school children of Texas be allowed to speak Spanish in school?
Oh, interesting.
And she said, her famous quote is, if the English language was good enough for Jesus Christ, it was good enough for the school children of Texas.
How about that? And
so she was quite a character herself.
Yeah, how about that? Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison said Cathy is a visionary leader who dreams big and knows how to make things happen. Indeed, you did. There were more jobs created while you were in the Department of Commerce in the state of Texas than any other state. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Kind of got it started because we've continued that in a lot of ways.
And it was a great economy in Texas at that time. If it had not been, it might have been harder.
Sure.
But companies wanted to come here. They wanted to be located here, and they wanted to thrive here, and they wanted to do business internationally.
Yeah, I don't blame them, and it's a great place. We still love to do it, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Corporate relocations and mergers, expanded agency infrastructure, tourism, as you mentioned, the Smart Jobs program you alluded to. These are some of the things that took place during those 3 years of your leadership, and what a time! I think some of those things are lasting. They may have changed in name, changed in sort of the structure, but they got their start during that period.
Yeah, that was one of the big wins was bringing Southwestern Bell to. From their corporate headquarters in St. Louis to San Antonio, Texas. They moved the complete corporation to Texas.
That's been pretty remarkable. I want to cover one other thing. Then we do have, I have to tell you, we have a game show. I don't know if
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's the 254. It's coming up shortly. But before we do that, I also want to talk a little bit about your Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. In addition to being the president and CEO, killcancer.org, so many other things. You are part of the Lance Armstrong Foundation, all these names that people recognize that you were part of from the beginning. Talk about your involvement in those.
Well, what happened to me is I had cancer. I had a melanoma cancer that, because my dermatologist caught it, he saved my life. My father had cancer, and my mother was a breast cancer survivor. And so when Ann Richards developed her cancer, I thought, I've had it with cancer. This is it. I've just had it with this disease. And I got right at the same time, California was passing $3 billion in state funds and bonds to do a stem cell research program. And I thought Texas could become the leader of cancer research and prevention if we had a similar program. So I'd been around the legislature all my life. I'd lobbied. I knew how you get a bill passed. So I got, at that time, all of the state officials were Republicans. And so I went to the Republican leadership and I said, there's this concept of we could pass $3 billion in state bonds, and billion with a B, and that throws off $300 million a year for 10 years, for a decade, to do an innovative cancer research that needs to be done. And we could also put part of the money in prevention and have mobile labs going around the state and mobile mammography and things like this to catch cancers when they're really just first beginning. And so they helped me. I mean, I was a known Democrat.
Yeah, sure.
So it was really a bipartisan effort.
Yeah.
And Senator Jane Nelson from Dallas was the main sponsor of the bill.
Cancer doesn't seem to care if you have an R or D behind your name.
It does not care at all,
Yeah.
and it doesn't treat you any better if you're one or the other. And so we passed this, and it had to pass 2/3 of both the House and the Senate, and then it had to pass 2/3 of the voters because it was a constitutional amendment to allow this to be bonds to be sold, which really, was negligible in the cost of government.
Sure.
But it started it's now in its second decade.
Wow.
And has been renewed, and has helped millions of cancer victims and stopped cancer in many ways for millions of Texans. And now that the money's been cut back at the federal level for cancer research, we are the #1 funding cancer research in the nation, now that the federal government isn't anymore.
Wow. Cathy Bonner, folks, this is the one that has gotten so much done for our state, but also for all of the citizens of our country, and we are so thankful. Not only have you done all of these things, I want to read this quote. She is smart, gutsy, and innovative, as interested in making a difference as in making money. That was by Fortune magazine, who named you one of 25 most influential women entrepreneurs in the country. Right here, Cathy Bonner. That's pretty remarkable as well.
I think I'm more proud of the label entrepreneur than anything else.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that after this next little piece, because now it is time for the game show that is sweeping the nation, the 254. All right, so we've changed this up a little bit now. This time, I'm going to hand you the box of love, the box of questions there. You're going to reach in, send me, or grab a question. We have 5. Riley, you're going to start the clock, right?
Yes, sir. Tell me when.
All right, ready? She's going to hand me the first one. Go ahead. We've got the clock. 2 minutes here. Fast, here we go. Name a favorite TV show from when you were a kid.
Leave It to Beaver.
Love it. Such a good one. Oh, man. First one. Okay, next question. All right, here we go. What is your favorite artist or song? Or genre?
I think my favorite is Leonard Cohen,
Yeah.
and Hallelujah is the song.
Oh, that's so good. So many versions of it, too. Very nice. Okay, question 3. Pick one out here. Here we go. All right, folks, this is fun. If you could be any animal, what would it be?
After going to Africa, it would be a giraffe.
Oh, a
I
giraffe.
could see everything that's going on.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I'm kind of short, too. All right, that's 3. We have 2 more. We're good on time, aren't we? We're
Minute
good.
left.
Oh, so good. All right, we're halfway done. Oh, nice. I know you're a sharp dresser. You like to do this. So name a favorite article of clothing.
Actually, I love hats.
Yeah.
I even have 3 cowboy hats.
That's a girl.
Giving you a run for your money there.
Yes, you are. I love it. Okay, let's do our final question on the 254. All right, here we go. Question number 5. If you could master one skill, and I'm guessing one that you don't already have, what would it be?
It would be playing a musical instrument.
Yeah, do you have a favorite one?
I think the piano.
Piano? Yeah, that would be super
Yeah, I have
cool.
no music talent.
I understand that. I can play the air piano really well. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the 254 with Cathy Bonner. That's always fun. I kind of like the way we're doing the 254 now. That was really good, and you're good.
Oh.
Man, that's fun. I'm with you though on the instrument though. I can only play like an air guitar, air piano.
You need to play the guitar with that hat.
I should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can fake it.
I think that's what most musicians do.
They probably do. I've never actually seen George Strait play his guitar, but he always has it, and he's the king of country music, so who knows. Cathy Bonner is our guest today, and we are so pleased to have her. We talked earlier about entrepreneur. You said that's one of your favorite titles, so I want to go into that. Bonner Incorporated was something that you've had for a very long time, and you impacted a lot of different industries in the kind of work that you did. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because there's a lot of budding entrepreneurs out there that want to be involved with business, don't know how, don't know really where it goes. Talk about how you did it.
Well, I started with the company doing public relations and then moved into advertising and marketing. That was the core of the business. And so I had many different clients over there. In the very beginning, I actually had a lot of political clients that hired me to do their advertising and their campaigns. Yeah. And then I kind of spun into more profitable things than candidates.
That's good. That makes sense.
And I had a great range of clients. I had the University of Texas athletic department at one time doing their marketing and a variety of different clients. But I ended up doing a lot of economic development marketing and advertising. In fact, the state of Texas became my client during Mark White's administration to do the advertising for economic development to get companies to come to Texas. Yeah. And so when I went into the administration of Ann Richards, in her cabinet, there was this Department of Commerce, and that's how I ended up there. And I already knew what the rules and regs are in economic development, and had worked with many of the companies. So that's the slot that I went into. But a business was always delightful because you can learn, every new client, you'd completely learn something else. And I've had a variety of clients that were load craft manufacturers of the bed truck, for the beds for trucks, and things like that you don't know anything about. And you just completely learn a completely different industry to try to help that client figure out how to market his or her business.
Isn't that great?
It is.
In business is business.
You never get bored either.
Right,
That's the best thing.
Well, and learning, I think, what motivates people into trying to create new commerce and grow their businesses and strategies and hitting niche parts of the market and so forth. That's got to be encouraging and exciting. Yeah,
it is, and trying to understand the economy and find their place in it.
Was this primarily in Texas, or was it kind of all over?
It was primarily in Texas, and it was certainly kind of Austin-centered in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I really like that you've stayed so focused in on this great state, the Lone Star State. One thing, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I wanted to go back to it briefly, get out of the entrepreneurship piece a little bit, although it's connected. And that is, whenever we were talking about the women's studies and the women's movement and so forth, you also decided that you were going to raise some money and start a museum in Fair Park. And that was quite the undertaking.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
It was at the turn of the millennium in the year it was before the year 2000, and everyone was talking about what kind, especially communities, what they were going to leave as a legacy. Yeah. And actually, I had this reoccurring dream, and a lot of the things I've worked on in my life started out as a dream. And when you have a reoccurring dream, you better pay attention. Yes. Your mind is telling you something at night when you're dreaming. And the dream was that by the year 2000, one of the programs of the national effort for the turn of the millennium would be a National Women's History Museum. And I got often asked, why do we need a women's museum? And I would say because there's, over 6,000 museums in the United States, and half of them are history museums, and half of them are art museums. And the half that are history museums, there's not one museum on women's history.
Wow.
And how they serve this nation and help create this nation. And so a lot of the people I'd met through the work at the Department of Commerce and when Ann was governor were CEOs of companies that were based in Texas. And I went around and told them of this desire to build something in Dallas for the Millennium that would become a national project of the Millennium Commission. And they helped through their corporations. And we raised $32 million, and we found this 1936 opening of the State Fair of Texas was the Texas Sesquicentennial.
Okay, yeah.
And the Sesquicentennial was a celebration where all the Texans came to the State Fair of Texas. And these buildings were built back then. And one of them was built at the they're all Art Deco buildings at the State Fair. And it was known as actually an arena. For the visitors to the fair that year. And it hadn't had a tenant in it, and it was owned by the city of Dallas in like 25 years. So it had holes in the roof, and it was
Pretty
really
rundown.
very run down. And so we asked the city to sell it to us, which they did for $1.
Wow.
And
nice.
we built a $32 million Women's History Museum that was there for a decade and is now in permanent exhibit in the Texas Women's University in Denton.
What an accomplishment. Texas women are like snowflakes individually. Individually they are pretty, but together they can stop traffic.
Yeah.
There's a quote from you. That's pretty cool. It is crazy that we don't always give credit where credit's due. Behind every good man, they say, is a better woman. and certainly you have joined forces with other people. In 2010, you joined Service King. You joined your sister and brother-in-law. I guess your brother-in-law.
My brother-in-law hired me. Can you imagine that?
How about that?
Hiring your sister-in-law to run his multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
Service King Collision Repair Centers.
That was.
We're all over. We're primarily over DFW area, and he asked me to come on board and expand them. We've expanded into all the cities in Texas. And then we decided to consolidate and to sell to private equity.
Yeah.
And so I spent about 5 years doing that, and it was a great experience. I knew nothing about collision repair,
Sure.
but I did know, mergers and acquisitions.
Yes, you did.
And
both from the state level and then also from your consulting group and your
it was a great opportunity. He's like one of the greatest bosses in the world, and not many people can say that about their brother-in-law.
Right.
But I'm proud I can, and he allowed me to build it and sell it, and when he was ready to retire, to private equity, and that's just exactly what we did, and it worked. The magic worked.
Yeah.
It doesn't always,
right?
But we had great partner in the beginning in private equity, and it worked just exactly like he wanted, which was what made me happy.
Oh, that's so good. Well, together y'all continue to do some work. I mentioned earlier at the onset of this episode, the D Magazine and the Interstate Inn and Seeker Restaurant. You guys collaborated on that. I know that's been your sister Lisa's primary love and
yes,
passion.
it's her vision. It's completely her vision.
Yeah.
And she made me come out of retirement again. And my brother, who's the construction guy.
Yep,
Kirk.
great guy.
And we found, we were just here actually looking around, and she had this vision of mid-century motels, of remodeling them and turning them into great experiences and places. And she just saw this building with this slanted roof, and it looked like a spaceship. And she said, that's the first one I'm going to buy. So it was the first one she bought and remodeled. And, she actually designed every room that's there in the motel. And we changed the name. It had been the Caravan Inn,
Yes,
and
had,
it's seen some better days.
Yes.
And we completely remodeled it and turned it into the Interstate Inn, right here in the heart of Stephenville. And then we bought the restaurant that was on the corner, and it could not be remodeled, and we had to basically build a completely new restaurant called the Seeker. And we're hoping that the Seeker becomes the hottest spot in Stephenville, and it has been so far since we've been open.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. This is a great one. If you haven't been out there, I encourage you to go out to the Interstate Inn if you have folks coming into town, and certainly enjoy some great food and great times over at the Seeker as well. But that brings us to our next segment. This used to be a part of the 254, Cathy. So this is, again, Cathy Bonner's here with us today. And this used to be a part of the 254 game show, the game show that's sweeping the nation. And it's a part that we like to say, it's got its own little segment here. It's called What I Love About Stephenville. And so what I'd like you to do is repeat after me. You're going to say, what I love about Stephenville is, and then you get to answer that. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So what I love about Stephenville is?
What I love about Stephenville is the salt of the earth people that live here. And I think they're such an entrepreneurial spirit here that they want to try new things. And they were our partner, and you were our partner from the very beginning to remodel this asset for the city of Stephenville. That it wouldn't have happened without the kind of people that are here.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Really great stuff, and we're so glad to have you guys believe in Stephenville as well, and believe in the idea that we can be great and that we are the city of champions, and you guys are champions as well. Cathy Bonner has been our guest today. I wanted to close out this interview today with something. We talked about your entrepreneurship and all of the great things you've done over the last few decades in advancing not only the women of our state, but also businesses and the entire economy of our state. For those young men and women that are out there, and this goes for both ways, men and women, that are looking to one day make a difference, to have an impact on their communities, what advice might you give them?
I'd say be bold, be courageous. Don't think that you should hang back and not express your opinion. That, you know, it's like the great Wayne Gretzky, hockey player. Yeah. You know, he would skate to where he thought the puck was going to go. And that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. You have to be there. You have to see around corners to trends that are coming and skate to wherever the issue's going to come to take the opportunity of it.
Yeah, great advice. Yeah. Love it. It's been a great pleasure.
It's been wonderful to see you.
Isn't this cool? Always good to see you. Give me knuckles. We do this? Yes. That's my good friend, Cathy Bonner. We're glad to have her here on the 254. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship. I generally try to come up with a theme of the day after completing the conversations here on Connecting the Dots. I rewatch the episode, and there's something that always just jumps out at me, and the connection point basically writes itself. I even mentioned at the end of this episode that we discuss entrepreneurship today. But the truth is, I could use any number of descriptors. After all, how do you sum up 50 years of activity in a single theme? Oh, there's no question today's guest was a longtime entrepreneur, and in fact even said that was the label which gave her the most pride. But she was also a fundraiser, with some of the examples being $32 million raised for our Women's Museum and $3 billion raised for statewide cancer research and care, which lasted a full decade. You could call her a negotiator, working in mergers and acquisitions in the public and private sector, including her own brother-in-law's already successful business. She's been a recruiter, enticing major corporations to relocate and or expand into the Lone Star State. And you could add job creator to that theme as well. And don't forget, nonprofit leader and a bipartisan visionary. She can claim great sister and, of course, loyal friend, as she has stood side by side with folks for decades, as interested in their success as her own. So perhaps you saw a little of yourself in any of these descriptions. All of them carry so much weight, yet so much positivity. Each one involves its own fair share of responsibility, as the efforts associated with each often lead to the betterment of something or someone else. And perhaps if you possess several of these attributes that Miss Bonner possesses, you could be labeled a servant leader. So there it is. That's the takeaway. Remember the quote from Fortune magazine? She is smart, gutsy, and innovative, as interested in making a difference in other people's lives as in making money. That may have been attached to her inclusion as one of America's top female entrepreneurs, but the real connection point is that it fully describes what we should all strive to be, a servant and a leader. Well, that's Connecting the Dots for today. Be sure and like, subscribe, and share this and every episode. Until next time, I look forward to hearing your stories of servant leadership.